So welcome back to the 10-10 movement, and today we're actually on question number 10, which is all about your finances, your money, how that all works in your life. Now, if, as I always say, I know it might be a bit of overkill, should we call it, you haven't already taken the 10-10 life test, then get over to www.10-10.life and do the 10-10 test. Find out what your life score is, yeah? Now, question 10 is all about your money. So let's just ask the question now. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being that your monetary world, your financial world is absolutely brilliant, it couldn't be any better, and 0 is it's rubbish right now, what score would you give it? What intuitive number comes up? Now, if you're a 10 out of 10, that's all great. Maybe you can switch me off, as I always say. If we're an 8 or a 9, we're doing good. Maybe there's a few things we could do to edge towards living a more 10 out of 10. But if we're a 7 or less, remember, we've got this gap. So what is in the gap is what I sometimes call the secret to life. Because if we can find out what's in our gap, that's between your number you chose and 10, then we can easily or more easily move to live an 8, 9 or even a 10 out of 10. So when I think of money, I think of programming massively. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions which are quite fun, and you could do this with some other people if you like. It's very, 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 very interesting. That's 3 very, so it is interesting, yeah? I'm going to ask you 2 questions, yeah? In fact, I'm going to ask you 4 questions just because it makes it more interesting. So now the only thing is you can't ask any question about the questions. You just have to go for what you hear and then do the answer, yeah? So I've done this with hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of people. It's very fascinating. So the first question is, get your pen and paper ready. First question is, what is a small amount of money to you? Now, you're not allowed to ask any questions. So what's a small amount of money to you? And what you need to write down is an amount of money. So just jot down, what's a small amount of money to you? Question number 1. Question number 2 is, what is a large amount of money to you? And just jot down an amount of money. Yeah, so now I've got 2 amounts of money. What's your small and what's your large amount of money? And we're just for fun going to do it with time. So if I said to you, write down a small amount of time, what would you write down? Just go on, write down what's a small amount of time to you. And then write down what's a long time to you. Yeah, what's a long time? And write down an amount of time. So now we've got small amount of money, large amount of money, small amount of time, large amount of time. Now, I challenge you to find somebody else who's written down the exact same 4 things that you've written down. And I pretty much can guarantee you'd have to go a long, long way to find somebody who's got the same 4 numbers. Even if you just do money, it's very difficult to find somebody else who's got the same 2 numbers of you. So what's that all about? Well, in one word, it's programming. It's programming plus maybe your life experiences. But when you were little, you observed money before you had your own money. So your family or whoever you were brought up with lived in a certain way, and money was a part of their world. So how did they view money? Now, I've done many, many talks where I asked the question, who here was taught that money doesn't grow on trees? Well, I can tell you now, 80% of the audience will put their hand up. Now, I was definitely one of those. Now, the other 20%, so let's say it's 80-20, but 80% of people, that means if you were taught that money is something you have to hold on to, it's given you what I call a mindset of lack. It's like you've got a lack mentality when it comes to money. And that means that the amount of money that you have in your life is directly affected by that programming and the beliefs that you have taken on board around the subject of money. Now, it could mean that that's got you loads of money, but that's not my experience. The vast majority of people, when they've got this lack mentality going on, they've got, they're tight with their money, one way or the other. Things aren't going as well as they like. So if we write down at 0s and 1s and 2s on your score, this is quite likely where you've got it from. You've inherited it. And it depends where you are. It doesn't mean, as I say, you don't have money. But some people would tell you they don't have money when they got loads of money. And so this is just all very interesting. It's all about your belief and your model of what you make of money being, the way you were brought up, the way you experience money is likely what you're doing with it now. So if you want to change your experience of money, then you have to change this lack mentality for something much different, completely different. So we would sort of call it swapping it for an abundance mentality, So we think instead of going, oh, money's, there's not much out there, people don't have a lot of money, it's hard to come by, we go, actually, money's everywhere. Money is easy to come by. So I am married to Nikki V, as many of you will know, and she was brought up in a house where the exact opposite was different. So in other words, they were brought up with a couple of different sayings other than money doesn't grow on trees. So here's a couple of the things that went on in their house, which led her to have a completely abundant monetary view on life. Which means that her model of money, if I said to her, where are you financially? Even if she didn't have much money, she'd have a very high score. So that's quite fascinating, isn't it? Because she has an abundance mentality, in their house, when they talked about money, they'd say there's plenty more where that came from. Now, how different is there's plenty more where that came from to money doesn't grow on trees? You see how that's an abundance mentality compared to a lack mentality. So that was probably their favourite saying, is there's plenty more where that came from. So literally, whilst their family's not super rich, they all have this abundant mentality, which is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's a different way of living. They also believe money is just like an energy, and you have to be in the flow of money. One of their favourite sayings is if you've not got enough money coming in, it's because you're not spending enough. Now, to somebody who was taught lack mentality, that sounds like complete madness. But you see, it's about being in the flow. If it's true that money is an energy. I mean, once I got onto a train. This is a good example. I got onto a train going from London to Scotland, and it was not stopping. So it was in the evening, it was an overnight sleeper train thing, So I've got on and they're going to have dinner there, and the dinner car, this is a while back, I don't even know if they do this now, Anyway, they had a dinner car where you could go and sit and have a posh dinner. So anyway, they came over the microphone thing and they said, the dinner car is open, and quite a lot of people got up and went straight to have some dinner, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to hang on. I'm always last in a restaurant anyway, so I'm always good to wait till the end. So I'm waiting, people are beginning to come back, and then the bloke comes over the speaker going, I'm ever so sorry to say, but we are closing the buffet car because we've run out of change. Like we've run out of change. We can't take any more cash. Okay, this was before credit cards really were big. And I'm going, whoa, that means I'm not going to get any dinner for the starters. But secondly, it set me off thinking, look, this train left the station and it hasn't stopped. So when it left the station, there was an exact amount of money on it. And nothing has really changed. The same amount of money is on this train right now. All that's happened is it started to change hands, and it's meant that the buffet car has now run out of change. So they decided, look, this is where beliefs and the way you operate and the actions you take can have a massive effect on your life and everybody else's life. So this guy has decided he's closing the buffet bar. Now, I used to be a shopkeeper, so if my till was running low on change and the bank's closed, and I can't go and get some change, I didn't go, I'm closing my shop because I've run out of change. I just asked everybody, have you got any change? And people get all this change out their pocket, and I'd give them a note and they give me the change, and 10 customers, I'm back in business and with my change again. But the guy in the buffet car could have done that, because the same amount of money, all the change is given away, is sitting in the train, So that's just an interesting way to look at it. He went for lack mentality instead of going for an expansive way of looking at money. He didn't say to himself, right, all that change is just on the train. People have got it in their pockets. He could have come on and said, has anybody got any change? If you have, can you come to the buffet car, because we're running low and that means, we can't serve dinner type thing. So he could have done that, but he didn't. So I hope that I've given you some idea what living a 10 out of 10 a financial experience is all about. It's not about having millions and millions of pounds in the bank, although we may have been led to believe that that will get you happy. But I can promise you there are many people out there with loads of money that are definitely not scoring a 10 out of 10 for their life. So money alone will not make you happy. The material world definitely won't necessarily make you happy. I'm not saying it might not give you a point or two, but it definitely on its own will not. I can guarantee you that. So there you go. That's it on the 10th video on the 10-10 movement, on the 10 things in the 10-10 life test. I trust you've got something good from those, and I trust you've watched the hour-long video on the red and the green. And obviously we'll be coming up with more videos of stuff that you can do to improve your score. So make sure that you stay connected by subscribing to the YouTube channel and making sure the notification bell is on, so you'll get a little box come up in your screen saying, the 10-10 movement has just put another video in there, so there's more learning for you. Or if you're on Facebook, make sure you follow it, like it, and the same stuff happens. You'll get little notifications when we put new stuff on there. So look, it's a joy to have you in the 10-10 movement watching. I hope you're hopefully enjoying these videos, and get more involved with the 10-10 movement. We'd love to have more and more people. One thing you can definitely do if you're absolutely loving it is share it with all your friends. Just share all of the videos or what you've learned or whatever it is, get them on there, and that would be fantastic, because it means there's a growing peer group of really committed people, committed to getting their life towards a 10 out of 10 and making the beautiful planet that we live on a much better place. So that's it from me, Tony B. I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.